right? That's I'm looking to be able to generate my hypothesis. I need to start by looking at the whole project right from the beginning. And I'm using Grok, by the way, today. So it gives me an output. One area to look at could be the impact of hybrid and remote work models, where the gap would be the shift to hybrid and remote work, as we saw with the COVID, has reshaped white-collar job satisfaction. Right? Some studies explore remote work impacts, longitudinal research that is over time on how hybrid models, 2 to 3 days in office and the other days out, affect satisfaction over time across industries by demographics, age, gender, etc. is limited. So there are research opportunities that this AI tool is giving me. Examine how flexibility in work location influences job satisfaction. That's one area. Investigate the role of digital fatigue, when you get tired, and virtual collaboration tools on long-term satisfaction. And then AI and automation influence on job satisfaction. That's another area. Please note that there is a gap that is presented to us to explore. So the integration of AI tools in white-collar jobs, for example, law, finance, marketing, is transforming job roles, but its impact on satisfaction is underexplored. Studies can focus on job displacement rather than how AI reshapes job meaning, autonomy, or workload. I remember the other time we had a discussion about the fear of losing jobs. Intersectionality in job satisfaction, the gap is given there. Most studies focus on broad demographics, right? But rarely explore intersectional factors such as how race, ethnicity, socioeconomic background, disability interact to shape satisfaction in white-collar jobs. Mental health and well-being in high-pressure roles, right? You get the gap, you get a brief background of the research opportunities that you have or that you can explore. Gig and freelance, white-collar work, cross-cultural, global perspectives. So like I said, you can get about 10. But also you have long-term effects of economic uncertainty. This volatility, inflation, layoffs in tech and finance has heightened job insecurity. So its long-term impacts on white-collar job satisfaction is underexplored. So especially in relation to career mobility and loyalty, people can just resign and move on. So there are also methodological gaps in longitudinal studies. Most job satisfaction research is cross-sectional, it's once off. Longitudinal studies track satisfaction over time. Okay. Now these gaps are critical because white-collar jobs are evolving fast due to technology, culture, and economic shifts. So it gives you a sort of justification of why these gaps or these research gaps are important. Things that you would need to use to defend your own project, right? So let me then engage further and say, I will take idea number 10, long-term effects of economic uncertainty. Can you suggest a research topic for idea 10? Let's see. Long-term effects of economic uncertainty. All right. Let's see what we get as our outputs. This is just brainstorming. It's not cast in stone. But let's look at the output. Can you suggest a research topic for idea 10? Okay. It will give you a preamble. For the unexplored area of long-term effects of economic uncertainty on job satisfaction, the research topic could be the impact of perceived job insecurity on long-term job satisfaction and career mobility among white-collar professionals in technology sector during economic volatility, let's say 2020 to 2025. That is longitudinal, right? It will give me a justification according to its view. Why is this topic good? There is relevance. The techno sector has faced significant economic turbulence with mass layoffs and fluctuating hiring trends. This makes it a prime case study for examining economic uncertainty effects on the job satisfaction. What is your research gap? That question. While short-term impacts of layoff or recessions on satisfaction are studied, longitudinal research on how prolonged uncertainty shapes satisfaction, loyalty to the establishment, and career decisions over years is scarce. That's enough for you to start thinking along those lines. To say, is this true? Can I read further? Can I engage further? What are the practical implications? Understanding these dynamics can help organizations design retention strategies and inform career counseling for professionals navigating unsuitable markets. Unstable markets. This topic investigates. Just to go back, practical implications. That then becomes your motivation. The last paragraph of your introduction. Something like that along those lines. It's shaping the whole research process. What is the research focus here? The topic investigates how perceived job insecurity, that is due to economic volatility, affects 1. Job satisfaction, 2. Career mobility, 3. The mediating factors such as financial resilience, upskilling efforts, or company transparency during tenders. Here, finally, we get to the suggested research questions. Our brainstorming with my tool continues unabated. Research question number 1. How does perceived job insecurity influence job satisfaction among white-collar professionals? To what extent do upskilling initiatives, for example, learning AI tools or new programming languages, how does this mitigate the negative effects of economic uncertainty on job satisfaction? How does economic volatility shape career mobility decisions? Do demographic factors like age, gender, or seniority moderate the relationship between job insecurity and job satisfaction? I can see that where we are going, we are actually looking at hypothesis, although it's not evident now. But listen to this. The methodology, mixed methods approach would be the best. Yeah, it's saying aligned with my interest because I have done a lot I've worked here so much that now it sort of knows me from prior discussions. Right, but our focus is on quantitative. So longitudinal surveys tracking job satisfaction, perceived insecurity, and career intentions among tech professionals like software engineers, product managers from this given time period. Use statistical tests like regression analysis or structural equation modeling to assess relationship. There is the guideline. There is my supervisor. Because at least there's something to start on, right? We will leave the qualitative part because, of course, but if you are doing a mixed research or mixed methods research, you would need to look at the qualitative part where it is even suggesting semi-structured interview or focus groups with the tech workers to explore lived experiences, etc. No problem. We will get back to that. Where do I get this data from? It is suggesting to us that you can partner with tech industry associations like IEEE, LinkedIn, I've seen a lot, Glassdoor for survey distribution, or use Expo or tech forums, for example, Blind for qualitative sentiment analysis on layoffs and satisfaction. So your sample will focus on tech hubs, Silicon Valley, Bangalore, London, to capture global perspective that have a diverse sample by role, by seniority, by demographic. Then it's giving me the theoretical framework. What theory is related to this study? Job demand resources, JDR model, career construction theory. Then the lowers satisfaction phases like trust in leadership and job engagement. Maybe this one, they want to eliminate me. So this is the justification that you can see whether it suits your research questions. Hypothesis, upskilling initiatives, justification. Hypothesis 3, perceived job insecurity is positively, you see the type of the hypothesis, directional, is positively associated with career mobility intention. Then you get your justification, hypothesis number 4, hypothesis number 5. So the other things that we need to look at as such problems. So first, I have the characterization, which helps my understanding. Hypothesis number 1, it is directional because it predicts a negative relationship. So type number 1, directional, right? Type associative because it examines the correlation between job insecurity and job satisfaction. So then comes the explanation. This hypothesis predicts higher job insecurity, correlates with low job satisfaction, focusing on the strength and direction of the relationship without implying. Okay, so there I have tried to be able to identify each of the hypotheses in terms of the type, right? What is the type? What is the nature? Is it directional? What is the type? It's a moderational. That brings in a new kind of type of hypothesis. It tests whether upskilling modifies the insecurity satisfaction relationship. Hypothesis number 3 is directional. Directional. The next one is directional, moderational. So there is a summary there of the hypothesis about this investigation, this longitudinal investigation on job satisfaction. So you are going to be comfortable because you know what you are talking about. Now you understand what my H1 is. It is a directional associative. What are the variables that I will be looking at there? Job insecurity, job satisfaction, directional, moderational for H5, job insecurity, job satisfaction, transparent communication. So all hypotheses are directional, reflecting specific predictions based on job demand resources model, career construction theory that you are going to use as your theoretical framework, which align with the tech sector's context in terms of layoffs and things like that. So the conversation, the engagement goes. So now I'm going to ask, please elaborate on the relevant statistical tests for this study. Okay. Now, research hypothesis I have, but what are the possibilities in terms of the statistical tests that I will need, right? I need guidance on that because it's too, it might be intimidatingly mathematical, such that I feel like, oh, what am I going to do? How many variables am I looking at? What tests am I going to carry out? And the AI tool will say, I got you, I got you. Here is the guideline. Please remember, it is a guideline. If you need further reading, for example, structural equation modeling, I've seen it quite often on many research articles, and something that has always intrigued me. Now it's saying structural equation. Does it mean that is going to be a whole lot of equations? Right? Maybe not. But let me go and look for how is it done. Right here. Right? Now, it's finished. It has given us quite a long output, which I will not go through all of it. But what are the hypotheses? We said 1 to 5. What are the relevant statistical tests now for each of those hypotheses? Okay, the hypothesis was perceived job insecurity is negatively associated with job satisfaction among the white-collar tech professionals. We want to test the strength and direction of the relationship between job insecurity, which is the independent variable, I have that as well, and job satisfaction, dependent variable over time. So what tests will I need just for this Pearson correlation coefficient? Why? It's simple. It aligns with the interest in basic statistical tests and can handle continuous variables, those numbers that we can measure. Assumption here, what are the assumptions? Whoa, that's another relevant statistical question. What are the assumptions of this Pearson correlation coefficient in your hypothesis 1? It is a linear relationship. There is normal distribution, right? Example, R is from minus 0.45, 0. Less than 0.05. It would indicate a moderate negative correlation. You see, I get guidance for many other things, statistical. It gives me the why, the assumptions, the examples. I want to get to structural equation modeling, which sounds, but you can see that for example, hypothesis 4, moderation analysis via multiple linear regression. You will include job insecurity as your independent variable. The career stage moderator, binary, early career versus senior, numbers of experience, right? There are notations to say, no, this part I will do it this way, this part I'll do it this way. Okay, let me rewrite this. You find that you understand the whole process from the beginning to the end. I can say, okay, that's the last one. Can you suggest literature just for, include citation just for interest's sake. I'm also intrigued. I want to see whether there is some limitation, but let's see. There we are. There we go. That's not to say that it might not have, hallucinate, but Grok, I think there's been improvement in terms of hallucination, but in any case, that shows that we need the human oversight to say, now I will double cross-check, now I'll take this, go to Semantic Scholar, does it actually exist? If it exists, then I will have a look at it. Then I'll read the abstract. From there, I will go to chat PDF and engage with this article that I have downloaded, which has been suggested, right? What I want to challenge you is, can you use AI generate hypotheses for your research topic? right? For your own research topic, right? Try and follow whatever, pick a few elements that we talked about today and see whether it makes sense to you. Now, before it evaporates, because other things come in and everything that you thought you understood may go to the back room in your mind, and then you are demotivated again. So, in closing, a strong hypothesis is not just a guess. It is a clear, testable statement that serves as a compass for your research. You saw the compass. We ended up at literature, right from exploration of underexplored areas in a given context. So, by understanding the characteristics and types of hypotheses, you are better equipped to lay a solid foundation for your research project. Yes, like I said, AI is changing research practices. It offers tools that streamline hypothesis formulation, that enhance our literature reviews, and they uncover patterns in the data. So when we integrate AI thoughtfully, we can accelerate and refine the research process while we are still maintaining academic rigor. Look at those 13, 14, 15 citations or articles that were suggested. Let's say we are lucky and we find all of them. In each of the articles that we find, there are references as well. So the one that is referenced, I will look at those references and see whether I can get more elements to write my literature review. So you see, it is only about the starting point where I find that it is challenging because we cannot visualize what the whole process will look like. And that was my focus, to say, yes, hypothesis testing, but let's fit it within the quantitative research design. Let's fit it in and see the whole process. And that's what I have been trying to do for the past 1 hour. Right. With that, we can look at reflections or thoughts on what we've covered today, AI tools, hypothesis, or just the research process in general. We can explore these together. I thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.
Recording stopped.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Caleb Mao, the multidisciplinary research from medicine to material science. Okay, so today's concentration is on a hypothesis. Okay, for based on limited evidence that we assume it. Okay, beforehand only we will frame in a problem statement, objectives. Okay, operational definitions. Then we assume. What is this assumption? Assumptions, we will think that it is a truth or a fact, okay, that it is in existing. But that one, when you will prove it, okay, when you will go to prove it in the research, is nothing but the hypothesis. So it is always a testable thing. There are so many types of an hypothesis, especially you have to know that one, even though if we use AI, the main things, okay, you have to know. Null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis is noted by H0. Usually it is we will say that there is no effect or no effect or differences. Then H1 is the alternative. Then we will test the H0. Just for one way to differentiate between null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis is no effect or difference, and we will go for an alternative. Okay, there is an effect or a difference. It serves as a baseline or a default position because we have to testing it, or we have to accept or reject it. Outcome, the researcher aims to support it in an alternative hypothesis. Usually we will start null hypothesis with there is no relationship or an effect. Okay, think that one drug. Okay, there is no relationship between of on an BP or some other things. Okay. But here in alternative hypothesis, we assume that we will say that there is a relationship or effects exist. Okay, whether it is in positive, negative. Okay, but there is a relationship. For example, the new drug has no effect on blood pressure, okay? But alternative, the new drug lowers the blood pressure because we have predicted or we have made it as an having the outcome. So this is how we will test it. We will return if a p-value is more than the significance level, but if we will accept if p-value is smaller or lesser than the significance level at a 0.05 or 0.01 level of significance usually. Next, test statistic, it falls outside the critical region of a null hypothesis, then here it falls within the critical region. So usually we will note null hypothesis by H0 and alternative as an H1, otherwise also H alpha. Okay. Next one is directional versus non-directional. Directional means it gives the direction. Okay. Students who receive mindfulness-based training will score higher on stress resilience test compared to those who do not receive the training. Means this is the direction. It is having a positive one. Means those who practice the meditation, okay, mindfulness, they will get a higher scores. So this hypothesis predicts not just a difference but a specific direction, higher scores. Means it is in a positive way. Non-directional hypothesis, it predicts a difference but not the direction exactly. There is a significant difference in stress resilience scores between students who receive mindfulness-based training and those who do not. Okay, so it suggests a difference exists but does not proposes a statement about the existence, frequency, or distribution of a phenomenon without implying relationships or a causality. So it describes. Okay, for example, a majority of doctoral researchers experience moderate to high levels of an academic stress during dissertation writing. Okay, of course, this is the true. So it isn't descriptive whether they are having very high stress or moderate stress, but having an whether it is an eustress or a distress, it doesn't tell. But there is an stress is there. Okay. So it describes a condition or state within a population. Next one is relational hypothesis. This type of reduction in anxiety symptoms among adults with generalized anxiety disorder. Okay, this is the one of the example. Means those who are having a physical activity like an exercise, okay, will help you to reduce the anxiety. Test the direct impact of one variable like an activity, physical activity on the anxiety. So how will you formulate it? Okay, by traditional ways. The classical approach, traditional hypothesis formulation typically begins with an extensive, you have to go for a review of literature, you have to search, okay, related literature, then read it, find the gaps, okay, different types of gaps, knowledge gaps. From there, you have to pick up that one, what is the cause and variables, then you can frame it. Researchers then apply domain expertise in intuition to craft testable predictions because it is unpredictable. This process involves synthesizing existing theories. You have to go through it, okay, different types of theories on the phenomena, what you have to find out, examining contradictions in current knowledge and identifying unexplored relationships between the variables. That is nothing but the research gap. So it is a time-intensive literature review process requiring weeks or months. Usually, earlier we used to go for a 1 month or 2 months literature review of different libraries, okay, to search the material. Limited by the researcher's background knowledge and cognitive biases, maybe you may get or you may not get some of the times the reviews. Effectiveness is heavily dependent on the researcher experience and expertise. So this was there in the traditionally. So when you use an AI, before that one, have the concept, okay, of on what you are doing, hypothesis, okay, how you will frame it. For that one, you have to know the problem statement. It must be constructed very, very correctly. So frame it, hypothesis, why we need, its characteristics, formulation, forms, okay, description, then problem, then go for various types of research hypothesis, which one you want, whether you want a null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, directional, non-directional, or causal hypothesis. Then try to use an AI. Traditional ways. Okay, what are the challenges you will get it? You see that one, it's very, very difficult. Okay, especially the newcomers. Okay, the new novice researchers are there to frame an hypothesis. So we will get in cognitive bias and anchor. Okay, limited exposure to multi-domain knowledge. If you are doing in an interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary way, okay, it is very, very difficult to construct the hypothesis. Incomplete literature scans, okay, because the exposure or you have not done very in-depth search, okay. Time consuming synthesis from a primary data, so it is very, very difficult to frame a hypothesis. So you can go for an AI, okay. So when you go for an AI, you have to know that on what type of a tool you are using it and the concept, okay. So ingest vast amounts of an literature, research literature, experimental data and domain knowledge, identify patterns and relationship invisible to human researchers, okay, because they will scan all the databases. Pattern recognition through machine learning algorithms, AI systems interpolate and extrapolate based on existing knowledge, generating novel connections between variables, often different variables, maybe an independent variable, dependent variable, extraneous variable, or an confounding variables. Okay, then it tries to generate the hypothesis. Tools like an hypothesis produce testable statements across disciplines, offering researchers concise, relevant hypotheses to investigate further. Okay, this AI tools. Other than this, also there are so many AI tools. Okay, will help you to make an hypothesis. These systems, AI systems, can process information at scales impossible for human researchers, considering thousands of variables simultaneously to identify promising research directions. So, which are all the commonly used AI tools, okay, for an hypothesis formulation? Of course, nowadays generative AI plays a very, very important, like in ChatGPT Cloud. Okay, you can draft hypothesis from literature summaries and also by providing prompts. Okay, correct prompts. Next, predictive AI or an ML models are available. Like it generates hypothesis from empirical data sets, like an thing that on you are having in regression analysis, okay, or in clustering or in meta analysis, okay. Next, knowledge graphs and LLMs is also available. They will identify the gaps of in research, anomalies, and or an unexplored links in the literature through the having the different PDF or Word files, okay, different files. So, of course, there are so many applications other like an MIT, they are assisted it, okay. Research MIT developed autonomous AI systems that formulated and tested hypotheses about novel material properties. The system independently discovered several new metallic alloys with exceptional characteristics. They used AI identified patterns in crystalline structures that human researchers had overlooked, leading to materials with improved conductivity and strength. Okay, of course, in cancer research by Mayo Clinic also, they deployed a hypothesis-driven AI approach that uncovered previously unknown mechanisms in cancer progression. Okay, how it was occurring. Unlike a conventional data mining AI, this system proposed stable biological mechanisms. This approach led to the identification of novel biomarker for early stage pre-cancer, pancreatic cancer, significantly improving detection rates in clinical trials. Of course, how we can use AI tools for a hypothesis, okay, for formulation and for testing, okay. You can go for a ChatGPT is the very commonly used one for conceptualizing the framework and problem decomposition, okay. You can use it ChatGPT, elicit out by searching the literatures, okay, semantic literature review and insight extraction. You can extract the research gaps as well as if you want to comprehend the paper, okay, you can use it elicit. Then semantic scholar cite AI for context aware citation mining, and also you can use this one for review of literature for finding out the gaps. IBM Watson Discovery for trend prediction and logic mapping, how we can go for a research workout. AutoML platforms, data-driven hypothesis testing pipelines. You can go for an in-depth, okay, it's in ChatGPT, it's an open AI for generation of the research questions and for a formulation of an hypothesis you can use. It supports hypothesis ideation and framing across the any disciplines. Okay. For example, you can give as a generate two causal hypothesis about the effect of diet on cognitive performance in teenagers. Okay. If you give this type of, but when you are giving a prompt, give exact prompt. Okay. You have to know the prompt engineering. Elicit by what it sees the semantic review, okay, of an literature, plus it will suggest the what type of an hypothesis you can frame it, okay, depending upon the articles or an literature review. It extracts empirical patterns and research gaps from different papers. You can go for an elicit.org. Next one is cite.ai, the research assistant. It acts context-aware citation tool to assess support or contradiction in literature. Okay, think that one if you want to know the gaps and the abstract of the whole paper. Okay, and any contradictions are there. Okay, within original things, then you can highlight it. Identifies patterns in existing evidence to inspire testable hypotheses. So you can approach cite.ai. Next one is IBM Watson Discovery. Okay, it analyzes unstructured text data to identify relationships and trends. It generates hypotheses from large textual data sets like in clinical trials or in patents. Okay, it's a very good one for an preparation. Okay, from an trials like in biomedical, legal, and or expertise and research and development. Okay, if you can using it, IBM Watson Discovery is the best tool. Next one is Research Rapid. You can use it. Visual exploration of research networks and emerging themes. Okay, for an visualization, reveals relational gaps in the form of an themes. Okay, in the form of networks and co-citation clusters to inspire hypotheses. Okay, so you can visit in www.researchrabbit.ai. How we can go for it? Okay, with an AI, we know that on what are the things must be there beforehand for an hypothesis. You have to have a problem statement, objectives, then gaps, research gaps, then operationalizes of the terms, then overall view of it. So you have to define the research area on what you are doing and the problem statement. Prompt AI with precise parameters. Okay, exactly what you want on the basis of your research problem. Review AI generated questions or statements. Evaluate for feasibility, novelty, and testability. Okay, what it generates, whether it correlates to your thoughts or your objectives or not, or your problem statement or not, whether it is a novel in nature or not. Okay, whether it is new or a very significant or not. Then you can test it whether it is testable or not, what it has framed it. Refine with the domain experts. Okay, you can consult in others. Then draft null and alternative hypothesis. For example, you can go for some of the prompts. Okay, based on you have collected so many studies based on recent studies in cognitive therapy. Generate 3 causal hypotheses about its impact on adolescent anxiety. Or you can go for this type of prompts like using obesity and gut microbiome data sets suggest relational hypothesis related to inflammation biomarkers. So what is the difference between AI and human generated the hypothesis? Okay, it isn't very easy. There are a lot of benefits are there. Okay, so what's this one? First one is accelerated discovery. Within AI can generate and evaluate thousands of potential hypotheses in minutes, dramatically reducing the time from question to testable prediction. Okay, especially you have seen that when you are in a no-bias researcher, it's very difficult to frame in null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, directional, non-directional, because it is tedious work. So AI will do within a fraction of a second. It reduces bias. AI systems consider evidence without the cognitive biases that can limit human researchers exploring unconventional connections that might otherwise be overlooked. Knowledge integration. Modern AI systems incorporate existing knowledge into their learning algorithms, building hypotheses that align with established scientific principles. These benefits extend across, of course, in any discipline like in law, medicine, nursing, physiotherapy, engineering. Okay, in marketing, entrepreneurship, social sciences also you can use it. Of course, we are having some of the limitations, okay, like an expert validation is required. Whatever AI generates, okay, don't believe, and you have to test it whether it is true to the fact or not, okay. AI generated hypotheses require thorough review by domain experts to ensure they align with the physical laws and biological constraints, okay. The quality of AI outputs varies significantly based on training data and model architecture, okay, how the algorithms are there. Then knowledge gaps. Conventional AI approaches may miss knowledge-driven insights without proper integration of a domain expertise. Systems trained on limited databases may generate hypotheses that experts would immediately recognize as impossible. Okay, so AI will tries to find out the very minutely the gaps. Ethical and interpretability challenges. Questions remain about responsibility of for research outcomes when hypotheses originate from AI. Additionally, complex AI models often function as black boxes, making it difficult to understand their reasoning process. This has to be considered. Next one is epistemological and ethical considerations. When you will see that one, when you are using an AI, we have to follow the ethical guidelines. Often research as an AI ethics. There are some of the questions are there. Okay, who owns an AI generated hypothesis? Think that one you have used Grok or an research rabbit or an anyone who is responsible. Whether you are responsible or the AI tool owner is responsible. Okay. Risk of reinforcing literature bias is one of the consideration, ethical consideration. Need for human critical review is very much needed. Then transparency in AI contribution, acknowledgement, or in the methodology you have to write that in what type of an AI tool you used for the hypothesis formulation. So you can use the best practices. Okay, how we can use AI very harmoniously. Okay, so start with a well-defined research question. Always here we are stressing always in our sessions that problem statement isn't hard. Okay, so you have to define it very critically, very correctly, very systematically. Use AI for ideation, not for final formulation. Very important. Okay, even though the topic is an formulation of an hypothesis with an AI, but you are the ultimate answer. Okay, you are responsible. So you can use for an ideation, for an generating the idea, for creating it, but for the final use, okay, finally when you write it, okay, on the time you have to take the decision. Validate AI outputs with literature and domain logic, whichever are there. Document prompts and revision steps for reproducibility. Whether the same prompt, okay, what you are given is gives the next time the same answer or not, or the output. So what is the future of a human AI collaboration? Okay, the most promising, we have to define null hypothesis as an alternative. Find out the significance level, whether 0.05 or 0.01. Okay, collect the data, calculate the test statistic. Okay, then come to decisions. Okay, whether you have to accept or you have to reject it. If you reject H0, you can say that one you are concluding the alternative hypothesis. If you do not reject H0, okay, you conclude that H0 may be true. So if you see an overall, AI enhances creativity, speed and breadth in hypothesis formulation, human oversight, and now I am giving one prompt. Okay, I am doing a research. I am doing a research for my PhD on. I am doing a research for my. I am doing research for my PhD.
Recording stopped.
PhD on, okay, effectiveness.
Recording in progress.
PhD on the topic effectiveness of SIM, okay, self-instructional module, on stress and coping among cancer patients in selected hospitals at Bangalore. Okay, this is the my research study. Okay, for example, okay, in selected hospitals, Bangalore. Okay. Prepare the research methodology to be written in my thesis. Okay, we will see what it gives. Okay, this is the one. It is giving research methodology. Okay, research design, page and responsive. Okay, somewhere it has stuck, I feel. Okay, otherwise it is giving the research methodology, research design, research approach, setting. Okay, somewhere it has gone. Okay, so like that, of course, we will see in next time. Okay, it gives the things, all the things, whatever the prompt you are giving, but you have to know that whether it suits. Okay, it is related to your concept, objectives, and whether it is you can use or not. Here you can use the site also. Site is also very good AI database technology. So it is given as a research design. This study is in mixed methods. You can go for it. It is an giving a clue how we can go for it, because it is in child-centered art therapy. Okay, so you can use in pre-test, post-test. Okay, quantitative, then qualitative. How to go? Population sampling technique. It's telling that you can go for an purposive sampling. Then data collection tools. Okay, quantitative, qualitative. Then intervention, data analysis. Okay, how we can go for it? Kinematic analysis, triangulation, because it is in mixed methods of a study. So, and it is given the hypothesis. You see how beautiful it is. Okay, null hypothesis, H0. There is no significant difference in an emotional scores. Okay, between primary school students receiving CAT in play therapy, those receiving standard within play therapy after 12 weeks. Then there is no sign, but it has framed it, okay, as a null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. You have to see, you have to come to in an abstract way that whether it suits to your exactly problem statement, where you are doing, then your research methodology and inner thoughts. Okay, this you have to make use of it. Next, ChatGPT is also one of the best way to elicit, okay, hypothesis. Then elicit is there. Elicit is also helps you to go for an finding out the research gaps and frame in a hypothesis. Then research rapid. Okay, you can search the literatures. Then you can frame in and you can give a prompt that you can prepare 5 or in 10 hypothesis, then it gives the hypothesis. Okay, then you can frame the hypothesis, then you can go for your research journey. With this one, I end today's session. Thank you one and all. Thank you.